The night was unusually dark, thick clouds blotting out the moon and stars as Ava hurried down the cracked sidewalk of her small town. It was past midnight, and a fog was creeping in, curling around the trees and whispering secrets only the shadows could understand. She clutched her hoodie tighter around her, trying to ignore the uneasy feeling crawling up her spine. It had started as a joke, scare stories about the Rake, a creature said to haunt the woods at the edge of town, creeping closer with every telling. But tonight, the stories felt too real. Ava had always been curious, perhaps a little reckless. She glanced toward the woods that loomed beyond the streetlights, the black mass of trees silhouettes against the cloudy sky. The stories claimed the Rake was a humanoid creature, eerily hairless, with pale, mottled skin stretched tight over its thin frame. It was said to move silently, stalking its prey before striking with a swift, savage fury. Most dismissed it as local legend, children daring each other to stay overnight in the woods or teenagers spinning tales for thrill. But tonight, something felt different. As she hurried past the rows of deserted houses, a sudden cold breeze made her shiver. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number. She hesitated, then slid out her phone to check. A single ominous message blinked on the screen. Asterisk. Don't look back. Asterisk. Her heart pounded. Goosebumps prickled her arms. She told herself it was a prank, probably from her friend, who loved scaring her. Still, something about the message made her slow. She looked over her shoulder, into the dark, a dark that seemed to press closer with each step. Nothing. Just the empty street and the whispering wind. Suddenly, her phone screen flickered and went black. Ava fumbled to turn it back on, but it was dead. She sighed, relieved that it was just a glitch. As she turned forward again, her eyes caught movement in the corner of her vision. A pale, hairless figure on all fours, skittering along the edge of the woods, just outside her view. The growl that escaped her throat was involuntary, a mixture of terror and disbelief. Ava froze, her mind racing. Was this real? Had she really seen something not human? Her feet felt glued to the pavement. Then the creature moved, faster than she thought possible, vanishing into the shadows. She wanted to run, but her limbs refused to obey. Her breath fogged in the cold air as she stared, trembling, trying to make sense of what she'd just seen. A voice, faint and raspy, echoed in her mind. Asterisk. Come closer. Asterisk, it whispered, as if carried by the wind. She shook her head violently, trying to dispel the creeping dread. But the whispers grew louder, more insistent. She turned to run, her heart hammering in her chest like a warning drum. That's when she saw it. A pair of pale, luminous eyes watching her from the darkness. No, not eyes. Two glowing orbs, eerily still, reflecting her moonlit shadow. Ava's blood ran cold. It was a creature that looked human but wrong, like a nightmare made flesh, primed to pounce. Her instincts screamed for her to get away, to escape the terrifying gaze. But she was rooted to the spot, paralyzed by a primal fear she'd never known before. Suddenly, the figure lunged forward with unnerving silence. She stumbled backward, tripping over a loose stone, falling hard onto the cold pavement. Her hands scraped against the rough ground as she scrambled to her feet. Something long and thin brushed her ankle, an appendage too slender to be human. She screamed, bolting toward her house, the light from her window beckoning like salvation. The creature was relentless, just a shadow now but moving fast. Just as she reached her front door, the door swung open under her desperate shove. She slammed it shut behind her, panting and trembling. Heart pounding like a frantic drumbeat, she pressed her back against the door, listening. Silence. Then, a faint scratching at the door. Ava's mind raced. Was it still outside? Had it followed her? Or was her mind playing tricks? She pressed her hand to her chest to steady her breathing, listening to the unnatural quiet. For a moment, she thought maybe it had gone. Suddenly, she saw the faint outline of a finger pressed against her window, the same odd, pale, hairless hand she'd glimpsed in the woods, slender and grotesque, leaving behind a cold, wet smear. Her blood froze. She backed away, knocking over an empty chair. Her eyes darted around her room, seeking an escape. The lights flickered, shadows dancing across the walls as if alive. In that moment, she realized she wasn't alone, she was being watched. The scratching resumed, louder and more persistent, at the front door now. She grabbed a nearby umbrella, clutching it like a weapon, and edged toward her bedroom window. Through the glass, she saw the creature's form lurking just beyond the curtains, its eyes fixed on hers with terrifying intent. Ava bolted to her closet and threw it open, searching for anything that might help, her dad's hunting flashlight, a heavy hardcover, anything. She grabbed the flashlight, flicked it on, and pointed the beam at the door. The creature recoiled as the light hit it, its hideous face briefly illuminated, bony, cracked skin, no nose, and a mouth filled with jagged teeth. It hissed, an unearthly sound, and then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it vanished into the darkness outside. Ava collapsed onto the bed, clutching her flashlight and trembling uncontrollably. Her mind spun. What was that thing? How had it gotten so close? Most of all, why did she feel like she'd been watched for longer than just tonight? The whispers returned, soft, sibilant, carrying an ancient, malevolent tone. Asterisk. Come back to us. We're waiting. Asterisk. Fear coiled in her gut like a living thing. She knew she couldn't stay. Whatever that creature was, whatever it wanted, it wouldn't stop until it consumed her, if it hadn't already. Desperate to escape, she threw open her bedroom window, the cold night air slashing her face. She scrambled out, running into the fog-shrouded woods behind her house. The moon peeked through a break in the clouds, casting faint light on the twisted trees. She sprinted deeper into the darkness, not looking back. Somewhere in her mind, she remembered the stories. The Rake was drawn to fear, to darkness, to those who wandered alone and foolish. Until that night, she'd dismissed it as myth. Now she knew better. But as she vanished into the trees, the whispers echoed one last time, lingering in the cold air. Asterisk. We're always watching. Asterisk. And somewhere behind her, the faint, pale figure slipped away into the shadows, waiting for its next visitor.